Hello, everyone. This is a new book which is in the market. We have the author with us. Shenaz Treasury needs no introduction. She is right here with us. Shenaz, hello, and congratulations on your first book. All He Left Me Was a Recipe. You actually, in your first chapter, which is the introduction, you say, writing keeps me sane. Maybe this book is just my therapy. Tell us about it. When did you start writing your book?
Okay, sure. So All He Left Me Was a Recipe is a book about a girl's life when she's 4 to 40. It's part fact, part fiction, and all the boys she meets in her life that leave her some kind of life lesson. The recipe is a life lesson. So that's what the book is about. So the first boy she meets when she's 4 to when she's 40. And these are, you know, how people leave something behind. They may not be a relationship, they may just be somebody who leaves behind something for you. And these are the
Hmm.
people that leave behind some impact on her and make her the woman she is today.
And there is this mutton biryani recipe
Mhm.
in
It's
in
not
I think
really a recipe, it's a life. I mean, the guy,
yeah,
I'll explain the food part of it. So,
yes.
so in every relationship, there is one particular food you love to eat. I'm sure you love to eat one particular food with your boyfriend or husband, and that
Hmm.
becomes your food. So, in each chapter, which each guy, she has one favorite food, and that food is the recipe in the end. But the real recipe is the life lesson, you know, what he leaves behind.
Yes, and you have made these very interesting way of
Yeah.
telling us about the lesson learned as well.
So I
And
also
where is it
love
now?
sketching. So I also
Yes,
love sketching. So I have a lot of
yes, I,
sketches in the book. And at the end of every chapter, I'll show
hmm.
you. At the end of every chapter, there is, hold on, I'll just find it. Yeah. At the end of every chapter is a lesson learned. There is a where is he now? Because you wonder, where's the guy now? There are three thank yous and a sorry.
Yes,
And
yes.
there is what she misses, right? So
Hmm.
that's the
Yes,
format of the book. And every
yes,
chapter starts with a question. The questions
yes.
are things like, what are the rules of breakup? Is attraction more important than looks? Is one sided love real? Could a boy be threatened by a girl's success? So these are all things we could actually debate on and talk about. So it starts with a question, then it goes into a little story about the girl and where she is, and then the lesson that she learns, and then where is he now and all of that.
Yes,
And I've also
since you
done a little
asked,
few sketches in the book. So this book
yes, I
is
love the
kind of,
sketches.
yeah,
And I love the part that you have so many of these, what she misses,
yes.
his advice, his care. There are parts that you actually talk about as well. And what makes this book perhaps most relatable to a particular generation and even those just about everyone, I would say, is these are real life questions, Shenaz. What made
Yeah.
you pick real life questions?
Because I'm all about being real and authentic. so so it's about being real. So I mean, this book, when you write from your real life experiences. Of course, this book is part fact, part fiction. I've taken some parts of my life, but these are all questions we wonder about. These are all things that happen to us. These are questions I don't have answers for. Like, for example, can a boy be threatened by a girl's success? You may date
Yes.
a guy who, and you maybe you're more successful than him. Would he be threatened? Some guys may be, some guys may not be, but it's a question up for debate. Or, you know, is there any logic to love? We can talk
Hmm.
about that too. There are every chapter is something that we could talk about for hours.
I'm coming to the question which perhaps drew me the most, which was essentially, could a boy be threatened by a girl's success?
Okay.
So, Shanaz, tell us about your own experience, about what it was like when you were growing. I mean, you are a success story. You have been a successful woman who continues to maintain, uh, who experiments, and then is now an author.
Yeah. So it depends. I mean, so you have to read the book to know the story, but that is a chapter in which the girl is very young. She's actually
Yes.
15 years old and she gets her first ad and she's with this boy who suddenly feels very, very threatened about it. So that's the story. in
Yes.
that particular scenario. But as the girl grows older, she also meets other men in her life who some who are not threatened by her success and some who may be. So that's a question up for debate. And that's why I have all these questions. I'm not saying I have the answers to any of the questions. But these are all
No, but
questions we all wonder about.
yeah, I think that's what it left. It almost feels like that you are exploring it with people. You're exploring it with your readers. You make it very conversational.
Yes.
So you make that effort in which you say that these are people, we have a middle and most times an end. That's your introduction, and I really like it. You say that the way I see it is that the beginnings are just for Bollywood movies, Disney dramas, and Instagram couples. All our real life love stories have more than just a beginning. We have a middle and most times an end.
Mhm.
So, which part of life are you in at present?
No, I mean, I can't say which part I am in life. That you have to read the book to find out. But what I'm trying to say with this is that you have different chapters in your life, right? So the book starts when the girl is 4, and the first boy she meets, he's in nappies, okay, and she looks at him, gives him a big smile, and he looks at her smile and gets scared because she has no teeth. She's 4 years old, and then he starts running away, and he hits her on her head with a watermelon, and that's her
Yeah.
first breakup. So that's and the first lesson she learned was boys can hurt. And then the other thing, how I relate it with food, is boys are like mashed bananas and they can leave you with a messy bib. They're very tasty, but they can also leave you with a messy bib. So that's the first love story, right? And then so it goes from her life from then to when she's 40, and every chapter, every story, every love story has a beginning,
Hmm.
middle, and end. Even in all your love stories, in the beginning, you're so happy, you're floating through life. In the middle, you're like, oh, you start noticing things about the person you may not like. And then you decide whether to stay with the person or not. That, in fact, is true love. If you stay with the person, because I believe love is actually acceptance, right? So if you do, and then sometimes things don't go well and you have to end it. And we always look at the ends as the worst times in our lives, but actually the ends actually make us who we are. They actually make us stronger, and they actually teach us a lot of life lessons. And so this is a book that is celebrating on Valentine's Day as well. It's a Valentine's book. That's why it came out in February. That it's not only celebrating the beginning of love, but it's also celebrating the end. And that's why I also have things that she misses. I also have gratitude because because you know what,
Yes.
whoever you've been with, they have taught you
Right.
something. You did experience a time in your life which was great with them. No matter how bad the relationship may be, there are 3 things to be grateful for. And that's really what I wanted to bring across in this book. There are things that we have to appreciate in people, even when if we have bad memories of them. And it's a process of letting go as well.
You said something very interesting that you could have written a book on love, but why did you write on breakups instead?
So the book is not just about breakups, it's about love and breakups. So as you know, every chapter starts with a new promise, a new guy, something great, like they're going, a new relationship. And then
Hmm.
something happens. I mean, it's a whole relationship. It has a beginning, it has a middle, it has an end. So each chapter, and it has a point of no return, it has an end. Some breakups are amicable, some are not, some you agree on, some are end because of cheating. So many things happen, and that's real life. So many people stay in miserable relationships. They just stay in miserable relationships out of fear of being alone. And that's another thing I want to say in this book is like, you don't, yes, love is acceptance, but you don't have to accept being abused. You don't have to accept things that are just unacceptable to you, that you can't sleep at night, that make you a horrible human being to other people. So you have to know where your boundaries are. And yes, love may be acceptance, but love is also loving yourself. So you have to love who you are also when you are with that person. If you don't love who you are when you're with that person, then that's not the relationship for you.
So, is love a roller coaster ride?
Love is a roller coaster ride. And you know what? Love is different from relationships because love is
Hmm.
easy. Relationships take work. Relationships are hard work. You ask anybody who's been married for years, it's a lot of effort, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of acceptance, it's a lot of patience, it's a lot of therapy. Some people go to survive a relationship, go through therapy as well. So that is what relationships are. And yes, it's a roller coaster ride. The whole thing is a roller coaster. Life is a roller coaster ride.
And you say that there is this almost quest that people have for Mr. Right, but there is no Mr. Right because you have to go through several wrongs to have a Mr. Right. But then how do you know that this is Mr. Right until unless you have moved on from Mr. Right and seen another Mr. Wrong?
You don't ever really know. You have to just make it. I was reading somewhere that you just have to make the almost right decision, and
Yeah.
also I just read somewhere recently that there's a 37%, there's a mathematical logic to
Yes.
this, that go through 30, like 30, even when choosing somebody for a job or choosing someone as a life partner, 37% is when you stop and then choose the next one who you feel is above those 37%.
So 37% is your best your best chance,
Like
and
go
that's
through
it.
37% and then just make a decision.
But why have food metaphors?
Okay, so in every relationship, food is really important. Like one of the most common things couples say to each other is, "Aaj kya khana hai? What do you want to eat today?" Acha, do you want to go to a restaurant or you want to eat at home? Kya khayenge? That is the most in every relationship. I feel that that is the number one question that my boyfriends have asked me, or I've asked my boyfriends, "What do you want to eat?" And also in every relationship, there's one favorite food. It could be anything. It could be like you love eating this strawberry gelato ice cream, or it could be you love eating this particular biryani, and
Mm.
that is why I feel like love and food. And when you're eating or when you're sharing food, that's really a nice, I mean, and most couples, their first dates are at restaurants, right? Or a lot of dates are at restaurants. It's over food. So that's why food. And I'm a big foodie.
Shanaz, we'll start wrapping up this part of the conversation, and I want to understand from you.
Mm,
You have chosen to write this book at a particular juncture in your life, but
mhm.
you also say that throughout you were penning down some pieces about your experiences on chits of paper, and you say that you would find them in your old jeans and in
Yeah,
other.
I love writing. For me, writing is therapy. When I don't feel so good, I try to sort out my thoughts by writing. It's something that a lot of people do. It's a way to actually understand yourself. And I have written over the years. Plus, I always loved writing. In fact, I've written a screenplay. It's called Love Ka the End. It's a
Yes.
Yash Raj film as well. Yeah, so I actually wrote another screenplay before that called Dreading My Wedding, which Yash Raj read. They liked that, but then they wanted me to write what they wanted me to write, which was three girls taking revenge on a guy in one night. And that's how I wrote Love Ka the End. But then I realized I want to write what I want to write, right? I want to write something like a Sex and the City, a Bridget Jones Diary. I love watching those kind of shows. I
Yes.
love reading those kind of books. And that's why I wanted to write a book like this, Emily in Paris. This is the kind of book I wanted to write. And this is what I want. I want it to become a show and will become a show soon on Amazon or Netflix. And one of the OTTs, it's going to become a show as well. So yeah,
And it will be a hit. I can
yeah,
see it already because Emily in Paris and Sex in the City is watched by all of us.
exactly. So that's what
And
it's.
so perhaps we need one of our own, maybe
Yes.
a Shenaz Treasury to tell the story of India and the Indian girls and Indians talking about it.
And a
Yeah.
lot of Indian boys. So,
Yeah.
so yes, so that's what I really want, and I really feel like I like to do different things in life. People ask me, "Oh my God, you keep jumping careers," but it's not jumping careers. I feel that I'm a storyteller. I love telling stories. Even when I was a kid, I used to ask adults for 10 rupees, and I used to say, "Give me 10 rupees, I'll tell you a story." So that's
Wow.
what I used to do, and then even on MTV, when I was an MTV DJ, I told stories, and that became really popular. And even as an actor, you're telling stories, but you're telling other people's stories as an actor. Then, even as a travel content creator right now on my Instagram and all of that, I tell stories. And this is also a story. So, in the end, I'm a storyteller, and these are all my different mediums. And
So when is the next book coming?
So right now, I want to make this into a screenplay. So I'm working on the screenplay for this book, and we will make it into a show or a movie. And eventually, we made. And the book is really doing well. Actually, a lot of young
Yes,
girls and
yes.
older women are really liking this book. And people are actually. Yesterday, I met some women who bought the book for their daughters because they're like, "Oh, my daughter's so sad about not having a Valentine. I'm buying the book for her." Or boys are buying the book for their girlfriends on Valentine's Day. So a lot of and boys are also finding the book. One thing I realized when I wrote the book, I thought it would be mainly for girls. But yesterday, actually, I was I was at this. I just came back from the literature fest in Trivandrum, and so many boys bought the book, and they're like, "No, but we go through breakups too, and we
Yeah,
also feel sad, and we also want to understand ourselves, and we also want to understand how to get over breakups." And so a lot of boys bought the book too, and I was so proud. I was like, "Oh my god, thank you." And when I was making the cover, I also made the cover. Everything in this book is a labor of love, including the cover that I've done
I
on my
can see
phone.
that. I can see that.
I was
A
thinking
lot
of
of
making
hard
it
work.
pink, and now I'm glad I made it blue because a lot of boys as well.
And which is this city? This is Mumbai, right?
Yes, this is Bombay, but it's all over. As you know, the girl travels around the world, so
Yes, she's a
it's like
traveler.
it's a little bit of every city,
Hmm.
but mainly Mumbai.
Yes. Shena is my last question. So, what does Valentine's Day mean to you?
Valentine's Day. It's meant so many things over the many years. So when I was a young girl, it meant so much. I used to buy teddy bears for my boyfriend, and it was such a like a big deal. Over the years, it's a celebration of love. On one Valentine's Day, if you read this book, actually, that's a true story. I found out that my boyfriend was cheating on me on Valentine's Day. Like he met another woman on Valentine's Day. So that was a shocking Valentine's for me. Since then, Valentine's has been a little bit melancholy, and now it's just a day to celebrate love. It's a day when everybody celebrates love. I mean, but I feel that it's also sometimes you're single on Valentine's Day. So sometimes I, like many other people, feel a little bit like, oh my God, it's Valentine's Day. I hope it just gets over. And I feel that now we should just celebrate it even with our friends or celebrate it as just a day of love. In the end, it's a day. And if we're in love, we should celebrate every day.
And you've created a beautiful world in
Thank
this book. And so, for all those who are watching this broadcast, you must go and read it because it will be it will hold you to ensure that you finish it in one go. But yes, it's a lot of hard work, and clearly, Shahnaz has given you some life lessons, but at the same time, made it a very relatable book.
thank
So, yes, so thank you so much for speaking to NDTV, Shahnaz.
thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
everybody. Bye.